In the latest videos on this channel, current affairs and the world geopolitical situation have been mainly discussed. Today, however, we are dealing with a different topic. Let's talk about music, and specifically, trap music. We will always do it in the same way, and with the desire to know and analyze the topic of where trap was born and why it has become so popular. This new musical genre that talks about drugs and ruins the future of young people, that makes news and becomes a scandal. Actually, what is trap? Today, here on Shattered, we tell the origins of this phenomenon. A genesis that lasted more than a decade within hip-hop culture. A long history made up of experiments and innovations. A story that was born, grew, and became great in the South of the United States. Hip-hop, in its so-called golden age, was equally divided between representatives of the East and representatives of the West Coast. The South, home of African American pride, had somehow been excluded from the stage. In fact, the South is a territory far from the large northern metropolises, which are less economically and culturally advanced. The southern states are categorized by the rest of the nation as countryside. The inhabitants of the South are labeled as uncouth, ignorant, and a bit stupid. A stereotype that died hard, and even the world that revolved around hip-hop was no stranger to such prejudices. Artists from states like Tennessee, Florida, or Georgia were snubbed. What the music industry didn't know yet is that out of the spotlight, the South had become a laboratory of musical innovations that would dominate the market in the years that follow it. Trap, in this sense, is nothing more than the final result of these musical experiments. Moreover, trap is a child of the South, not only musically but also culturally. Drug dealing, crime, violence, are themes that belong to this genre in its entirety, as a product of the experience of marginalization lived by African Americans in American metropolises. However, these themes take on a centrality and a very particular declination in the narrative of trap. All this can only be explained by understanding the peculiarities of the ghettos of the cities of the South. New Orleans, founded by the French and for several years in the hands of the Spaniards, it is the city where African Americans have managed to maintain a greater bond with their Mother Earth. This element has translated musically into the development of a musical genre that more than others has represented the expression of the oppressed, jazz. Between the end of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s, in this city cradle of African American culture, hip-hop began to find its space by managing to find the right mix with the local tradition. This is how trap music came to life. Taking from the percussion that is used by typical New Orleans jazz bands, it is characterized by its rhythmic power and its ability to make crowds go wild. The dance that is associated with this genre, and that is now known all over the world, is called twerking. In many other cities in the South, this new way of making music began to take hold, creating a third pole in addition to the East Coast and the West Coast. Another aspect that is of great interest to the world of trap music is the use of drugs. In Texas, heavily prohibitive drug laws have pushed young people to invent themselves. Mix codeine-based cough syrups with sugary drinks. What I have described is only the beginning of that genre that in the following years will be well identified as trap music. The video ends here. As always, if you are interested in these topics, let me know in the comments. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.